Today we're going to be covering the purchase order system and how to create and manage the outstanding balances and received inventory off of those. So to begin, we're going to go into our companies button on the home screen, and we're going to take a look at our vendor, the vendor that we're going to be using today for our purchase orders, which is going to be called Vendor Test. And I'm going in here just to show you where most of the information is going to be pulled. Obviously, you have your contact information, which has their phone numbers and emails. But if we go over to the billing tab, we can see that the tax rate and the billing addresses and the payment terms, as well as FOBs and ship from information is here, and we're going to see where that's going to pull it. So whenever you're dealing with purchase orders and purchasing material, it would make your life a lot easier if you, ahead of time, create the company and fill out as much information as possible. This is especially important if you do a lot of business with these same vendors throughout time. It'll save you time in the long run and eliminate some user error or possibility for user error. So I'm just going to close this out, and then we're going to go into our purchasing suite, and it's the big red $sign. Here we can search for any active sales orders that we have, or purchase orders, excuse me, but we're actually going to create a new one. And to do this, in the middle of the screen, we're going to click on the New PO button. All right, so first things first, it opens up a new PO, but it hasn't technically created it yet. For it to create the purchase order, we're going to have to assign it a vendor, or who we're purchasing it from. As I said earlier, we're going to be using Vendor Test for this demonstration. And now we can see here at the top that it's created purchase order number 17, and it's currently an active sales order. Again, here it's good to fill out as much information as possible on the purchase. We can just enter in some information, and we're going to say it's coming from the United States. Obviously, sometimes it's not going to be domestic, it'll be imported from some other country, and we're going to insert some comments, and I'll show you where those are printed out later on. That's one too many M's. Okay, and we see here that this is where it's populating all that information. We have the contact name, as well as the FOB and shipping information, and the payment terms. And over on the right-hand side, under the totals section, we can see that that tax rate that we looked at for Vendor Test earlier is now populated automatically here. And we can even assign where we're going to be receiving this inventory that we're ordering from Vendor Test. So now we're going to click the Save button. Now we have this placeholder here for purchase order number 17, and next logical step would, of course, be to add some to add what we're going to be purchasing from Vendor Test. To do this, we're going to click on the Add Item button at the top of the screen, and we're going to choose a master part number since it's not already existing inventory. We're just requesting it, and I am shopping for some 2 1/16 tubing, some J55. So I'm going to select that. And here's where you're going to enter in how much of it you want to order. I'm going to be ordering 3,100 feet, and it's going to be 100 joints. And here you can enter in the unit price or cost. If you don't enter anything in this field and leave it at 0, it's going to pull from the master part that you have set up. So whenever we set up the 2 1/16 J55 tubing master part, that's where it's going to get the price. Alternatively, I could enter it here if it's changed. And here we see we've created a line item for 3,100 feet. It's created a job. Will it create a new master part? No, you have to create the master part prior to doing the order. It's created a job, right? So now this is tracked in the system. This order of 3,100 feet is in the system. However, it is on order, which is not counted as inventory for you. This is kind of like an outstanding balance for this order. That's really important because we're going to learn how to reduce from this. And this is kind of how we track the total total amount on the order against the different shipments. Because a lot of the time it's not going to come in one giant truck, right? It's going to be coming in on 2, 3, 4, however many shipments that the vendor is going to be sending to you. And we have the unit cost, which it pulled for the master part. I can actually show you that right now. I'll just double click on the part number. And up here we have the unit of measure and the unit cost and unit price. So that's where it pulled that unit cost value, since we didn't enter it in the dialog on the purchase order. So I'm just going to close that out and go back to the purchase order. And now we can go ahead and save it. And now that you have created this order, you can go ahead and print it and send it out to your vendor, right? You click to print, it prints out your purchase order. You see where I entered in my comments earlier. In this blue section is where the comments are going to be populated. And you have your totals here in this screen. And it's by a line item, so if you have more than one thing on that order number, it'll populate that there. Any questions on that? Okay. You can also send the email, and this will send it to. It'll send that same printout to whoever you have, whatever the contact email for that company is. So if you need to print it out, you can print it, or if you need to email it directly, it'll attach it in a PDF format, that same print-off sheet, to this email. I'm just not going to send that. Okay. So now we've right. So now we've created a purchase order. Now let's say some time has passed and we receive a shipment from that vendor, and you get the the paperwork from the yard or what have you. Now we got to add the item to track that shipment from this purchase order. So we're going to click on Add Item again. But this time, we're going to pick from an existing job or tally, since we're picking from this on-order job. Right, so when you pick from existing job or tally in that purchase order, it's going to automatically search for that PO number, and it's only going to show you items that are assigned to PO 17 in this case. Here we see that job number 5081 is populated here in the search. So we're going to select that and click OK. And since this shipment was not the entirety of that 3,100 feet, we're going to transfer by bulk, and we're not going to transfer by the entire tally. And we're going to transfer by footage. So we're going to say that the paperwork said we had 1,200 or 1,100 feet on that truck that came in. And you can see it's automatically calculating the joints based on the average. And then we're going to click Finish. Now it's added that line item as a received. So it created job 5082 as a received job. And over here in the quantities, if you noticed, it's taken that 1,100 feet and taken it away from that original 3,100 order. What this does is effectively tells you what you still have outstanding for this order. So this is now actual inventory as opposed to the on-order status, which is just a placekeeper, if you will. And we can do that again for several jobs if we want to. I'll just run through it again. So pick from an existing job or tally. And again, it automatically searched for all jobs assigned to PO 17. So that new job, 5082, is now populated there. But we're not receiving from that one. We're still doing from the on order. Excuse me. And again, we're going to transfer by bulk and by footage. I'm going to transfer additional 1,000 feet off of that. There we go. Again, it created that new job with 1,000 feet and reduced it from the on-order job. So now we see that we have 2,200 feet total in inventory that we've received from this purchase order, and still an outstanding 1,000. Now, say that we want to see that in a concise manner, right? You don't want to necessarily see it in here. What we can do is head up to the print button, or let's save it first, and then we can head up to the print button, and to the right of that is a little arrow. If you click on that and select Audit Report, it's going to pull out a printout and basically summarizes all the transactions for this PO. So you have all the line items that have been added to this, and you have the breakdown of on order and received. So this is a really good way to quickly see what you still have outstanding. Down here in the totals, remaining balance on order is still 1,000 feet. And if anything should go over what your PO was originally for, it'll show up in red. So if you have any negatives, overages, for example, it'll show up in red, so you can quickly see that there's a discrepancy there. Any questions on the PO audit report? I'm not sure if you guys have used this one before. Okay. And you can see original amount ordered. It's pretty self-explanatory on this one. So we're going to go and close that out. All right, so we've received these two shipments from the vendor, but say that the amounts weren't exact, right? We're dealing with bulk pipe, so it's nice if the average was 31 feet per joint, but as you well know, it's not always the case. So we can actually adjust that on the fly here in the purchase order by right-clicking and selecting Reconcile. So let's say this second shipment that we received, 1,000 feet, was actually a little bit over 1,000 feet. We're going to go ahead and reconcile that. We can reconcile that to the bill of lading, or however you guys keep track of that. And need to make sure that correct the transaction is selected above is checked. That's the default one. So you shouldn't have to change anything there. And up here at the top, you're able to see what the transaction did. So we see that for job 5083, the only transaction is received from job 5081. 5081 is that on-order job. So all we need to do is adjust the totals. So let's say instead of 1,000 feet, it was more like 1,015, but it was still in 33 joints. Then we can go down to the comment box and enter in a comment. Oh, I can't spell. And then click the Finish Reconcile. Now you can see that it automatically changed the number of the footage for this shipment, and it also reduced it from the outstanding balance, from the on-order balance. So whenever you reconcile from that from a transaction, it'll go ahead and fix where it came from. So you're not having to reconcile two jobs or anything like that. Is there any questions on that? I don't know if you guys used the Reconcile in the past, but it's a really powerful tool to kind of do everything to the foot once it's tallied, right? All right, so now we're going to save that. And we're pretty much going to repeat this until obviously the on-order job is gone, right? Now let me show you how you guys can search for things, because you're most likely not going to be doing this all at once, right? There's going to be some time between shipments and everything like that. So I'm going to actually close PO17, and we're going to go into the Search for Pipe button. Here we can actually look for all the jobs that are assigned to certain purchase order numbers. So we can do purchase order number 17 and status of received. And you can track all your shipments that way. If you don't enter the receive status, it's going to return that on order amount. So you could very well put on order as the status and then see all the on order items that you have on that order. So the Pipe Explorer is a great way to kind of keep track of that, and you can actually edit the columns to show you the PO number, and as you well know, you can drag them anywhere you want. So we can now see the PO number and the bulk totals here pretty quickly, as well as the status. So if you've used the system before, you obviously know about all this. All right. So if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to move on to the reports. I'm going to go into the report manager and show you some of the purchasing reports that we have available. We have some pretty self-explanatory ones, like the open PO report. If we run that, it's going to show you, obviously, all your open purchase orders. And it has all the transactions for them. So you see here that the quantity and the cost for each one of those transactions on the purchase order is set there. If we close that out, we also have closed PO, which does pretty much the opposite. And the purchasing order, the purchasing cost is what I wanted to look at here. I want to build a filter for that one. And we're going to filter for the part number, the tubing. So that was 2 1/16. And it was, I believe it was that part. We're going to run this report for that part. So here's where you can track all your purchasing costs for this material across different POs. So if you're doing business with multiple vendors for the same inventory, you can tell where you're getting, a better deal, or kind of where you need to maybe cut back on business with that particular vendor. And you can sort through any of these. It's the same as any reports. So yeah, that's probably the best purchase order report that we have. Any questions on this, guys? All right. So let's go back to purchase order 17. And we're going to go ahead and finish it. We're going to add item. We're going to pick from the existing job, like we have been doing. And we're going to pick that on order job. But this time we're going to select the entire job and tally. We're just going to go ahead and close it out. Nope. No, I guess we can't do that one that way. Okay, so we'll just add it as a transfer by bulk. Here we go. Transfer by joints, or transfer by footage. And here we go. So we're going to transfer the remaining out of the on order and into a receive status. There we go. So now we can see that the on order job now has a quantity of 0, and the remainder is there. Hopefully you're paying your taxes. And we can print that audit report and see that the on order reflects 0 and the remaining balance on order reflects 0. So this is when you know that you can go ahead and complete the purchase order, and now it's archived. So you can open it back up whenever you need to, but it's not going to show up under your open reports or anything like that. And that is pretty much the PO order system. That's how we kind of recommend that you use it. Again, it's not binding. There are other ways, and each customer and client is going to be different. But that's all I got for this one.